Hey! What to do? Hey, yo, yo!
We acknowledge the traditional custodians of Canberra, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, their elders past and present, and we will walk gently on their sacred ground. We acknowledge the members of the Tongan royal family currently residing here in Canberra, the leaders of this country. We also acknowledge the leaders of all other Pacific Island nations here. Welcome everyone to the Lo'au University Multimedia program, Storytelling by Children and Young People. My name is Luciane Lafitani on this rather cool autumn morning in Canberra, Saturday the 27th of March 2021. This program brings to you children and young people from all communities, and they will be talking to you about things, books that they've read, maybe programs that they've watched. This program here encourages children, and the focus is to encourage and promote learning, reading, and conversation with children and young people. Well, here in the studio, I have a rather special young man. His name is Myshka Broinowski, who will talk more about himself to you, and also he will be doing a book review on the dark powers of Tolkien. So without further ado, here's young Myshka. Welcome to the program, Myshka.
Thank you. So I am Myshka, as you know, and I live in Cook, Aranda, and it's quite a nice place.
Yes, it is.
It's quite sort of secretive. And there's a lot of bushland, and it's quite beautiful. Quite a beautiful area.
It is, Myshka, and I have visited Cook on various occasions to visit your mum, and it is rather a lovely place. I was wondering too, Myshka, I don't think people quite know, or they can't work out how old you are.
I am 9. This is my 10th year of life.
There you go, 9 years old, and he's going to do a book review for you. Right, Myshka, obviously you do go to school, don't you?
Yes.
You do go to school. What school do you go to?
Aranda Primary.
Aranda Primary School, there you go. And with, you do enjoy school, I take it?
Well, it depends.
It depends on the day?
Well, kind of, because we do different things on different days. I like Thursdays because we get to do tennis.
Oh, right. So what would be your favourite part of your school day?
Probably the very end, because there's a little segment where we can just sit around and rest a bit.
Chat?
Chat, yeah.
You are good at chatting. So, let's start with your book review.
So I'm doing The Dark Powers of Tolkien. It's less of a...
It's a big book.
It's less of a simple book than... It's a bit more complex, but it can also... It's also quite... It's quite good if you're a Tolkien fan, but also just good if you want to ever read Tolkien or anything. So
what age group do you think would be, appropriate for a book such as The Dark Powers of Tolkien?
Maybe around about 10 to 12.
12 years.
12 and above, yeah.
Because I do know you're a well-read young man, and you do read books that are way above your age group.
Yes. I read books for young adults usually.
Yes. So can you give me in, sort of as many words as you want, tell me a little bit about The Dark Powers of Tolkien.
So it's about just the things that are, well, let's say evil in the books and stories of J.R.R. Tolkien, who I used to be a big fan of. I first discovered Tolkien when I read The Two Towers with my dad.
Yes.
And then I went to read The Hobbit and the rest of the Lord of the Rings series. I'm now reading The Silmarillion, which is more of a world-building book than the Lord of the Rings and things.
Yes.
So the Dark.
What would the main theme of this book be about?
Well, fantasy.
Fantasy.
Because so it's like medieval sort of Anglo-Saxon stuff.
Wow. Very exciting stuff.
It's like very sort of surreal with like the Balrogs and things. Balrogs are like fire, demon sort of things.
Fire and demons. Very exciting. So who would be, is there a main character?
No, not really, because it's more about the characters from another book.
From the other books. I know you marked a couple of pages for some of the, because it's full of pictures. Can you show us the first one that you marked and tell me a little bit of why you marked it?
Well, the ones I marked are right next to each other.
Yes.
So I marked this one, which is the ritual of the
See
ring
if
race.
we can put it up to this camera.
So I marked this one because it shows the sort of ritual of the ring race.
The ritual of the
ring wraiths.
ring race, right?
Who are these sort of ghost-like riders. They ride around the area and hunt this thing called the One Ring.
I see.
The One Ring is a small gold ring that when you put it on, you turn invisible. And
how very handy.
But there is a cost, and the ring sort of has a mind of its own.
So even though it has these special powers that make you invisible, but there's something else happens.
If you use it too much or you hold it in your possession for too long, you get corrupted and it sort of possesses you. And then so
it means that you lose your will, so you have to do exactly what the ring tells you.
Yeah. Anyway, so there is this one character in The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit called Smeagol or Gollum. And he found the One Ring, or rather his cousin did, and then he took the One Ring. So he found it in a river, and then he took the One Ring to when he was banished from his tribe. He used to be a Styr Hobbit. When he took the ring to the Misty Mountains after he was banished, and he hid in a cave underneath the town of goblins, and hunted in the lower tunnels and parts of the goblin caves, and he sat there, just the ring in him, and over time he became a ghoul twisted in mind and body.
Oh dear.
And then so Bilbo Baggins, a hobbit, on an adventure with Gandalf the Grey, who is a wizard, and a group of dwarves who want to reclaim their treasure from a dragon called Smaug in The Hobbit. And then, so what happens is so Bilbo Baggins loses the group of dwarves in Goblin Town and ends up in the cave, and he finds the One Ring on the ground, and so he puts it in his pocket. And then he goes into the cave where Gollum is, and Gollum lives, and he finds Gollum eating a goblin.
Eating a
goblin.
Oh.
And when and he comes in, and then Gollum wants, and so Gollum challenges him to a riddle game. And then in the riddle game, Bilbo Baggins wins. And then Gollum has to show him the way out.
Right.
And then Gollum didn't know that Bilbo had taken the ring until Bilbo finally got out of Gollum's reach. And so Gollum was angry, and you hear about him again in round about the Two Towers, or no, you hear about him in the Fellowship of the Ring, which is the first book in the Lord of the Rings series. The Hobbit is like the prologue. And then what happens is Gollum then hunts down Frodo Baggins, the nephew, of Bilbo, and is taking the One Ring to where it was made in Mordor, in the Mount Doom. Very ominous name. And then it's this huge long journey that covers 3 books, and then
Oh my gosh, that
eventually,
is a long journey, isn't it?
Eventually he gets to the mountain, and Gollum follows him there. And then Gollum takes the One Ring, but he doesn't know he's falling to his death in the fires of Mount Doom. And then, so the ring is destroyed.
Right.
And this evil Maya spirit, Maya is like a type of spirit in Lord of the Rings. It tells you that in the Silmarillion, which is also a bit like a prologue of The Hobbit. And then, so Sauron is the creator of the One Ring.
Okay.
And so he's this spirit that's been and so there's this huge tower with this giant fiery eye on it. And the fiery eye is searching for the One Ring and always looking. And so it's in Mordor, and there are these creatures called the Orcs, which are bred in Mordor and Isengard. Isengard is a place where Saruman the White, another wizard, lives, and he is also corrupted by the One Ring.
Oh my gosh.
And wants the power for himself.
As you're talking, Myshka, I was thinking, because you're talking about a whole series of books that are interconnected and the stories intertwine, which is really so important that if someone watching would say, oh, I want to look at that, it'll be great to start from
The Hobbit, definitely.
The Hobbit.
Start with The Hobbit and end with the Silmarillion.
And there you go. If you start with The Hobbit, then you learn all the characters, because some of those characters visit all the books that you've talked about. So there's quite a series of books, which is so important. So if anyone's listening or watching, I know there are, The Hobbit is where you start from.
Yeah, The Hobbit, and then you go Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers.
Fellowship of the Rings, then on to Two Towers.
And then I think it was The Return of the King.
The Return of the King.
And then you wrap it all up with the Silmarillion.
With?
The Silmarillion.
Silmarillion. That's it, Silmarillion. That's how you wrap up that series.
Yeah.
And then on to?
The Dark Powers of Tolkien. So.
And you've read all those books?
I've nearly read all of them.
Nearly read.
I've nearly finished the Silmarillion.
I think you have to come back, because these are, as you're talking, I'm just thinking, because it's quite exciting what you talk about, and you're a good storyteller. So I'm imagining all these wonderful things and towers with blazing eyes and things like that. So you had another picture.
Yes.
That's actually beautifully. I just love the pictures that you were showing me before. Oh, what's that one?
So this is Nazgul, so the Black Rider. mounted on a winged beast.
Now, can they see that? Is that quite clear? Oh, wonderful. So tell me about that one.
So the Nazgul, as I was saying, is this type of ghost-like creature.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the poem on the first page of The Lord of the Rings, it says 9 rings for mortal men. And and so that's like saying, and so I think it says that are doomed to die or something. And those 9 mortal men became the ring wraiths when they put the rings of power on. So, it's all very complicated, but
It is quite complicated.
so when they go on, so usually they ride black horses or shadow horses with glowing red eyes and silver armor, and then so what happens is when they get on the winged beasts, they use that to fly into a place called Gondor.
Mm-hmm.
In the Return of the King, near the very end. Gondor is like a kingdom sort of
Yes.
place. And yeah, so that's really what the image is about.
Wonderful. So how far have you gone into this book, The
Well,
Dark Powers of Tolkien?
I read it quite a while ago, actually, maybe last
All
year.
right, okay. So you have read it. And
I
you
have
just,
read it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I did. I have recently looked at it and thought, well, it might be great for this book review. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So what are you reading now?
Well, I'm reading now the Skullduggery Pleasant series, and
So it's a
few other
series.
books.
So how many in the series?
There's about 14 to 15 books.
Oh gosh, what number are you up to?
I'm up to 9.
Number 9
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. I actually.
You're going to be here forever, reviewing all these wonderful books that you read. And see, this is what I mean about this program. We talk to young people and children about things they're doing, and especially books they've read, because it's so important for young people and children to be reading. And with that book that you're reading now, can you tell me again, because I've forgotten? I'm an old person.
So Skullduggery Pleasant is about it's the skeleton detective, and on the first book on the bottom so there's always like a little catchphrase on the bottom, and then it says, and he's the good guy, and
Okay.
and he's the skeleton in a suit.
Oh, right. And he's the good guy.
Yeah, and so it's all about like sorcery and magic and things.
Yes. I like that stuff.
And so his partner, Valkyrie Kane, is another sorcerer who later in the series you find out she is Darkass, aka the end of the world.
Oh.
And Darkass is this insanely powerful being that's supposed to destroy the world just by going.
Does she?
Yeah, basically. But at the end, I haven't read the 14th book yet, but apparently in the 14th book at the very end, this person called China Sorrows kills Darkass with a death touch gauntlet.
With a...
Death touch gauntlet.
Oh, my
Which is where anything, even the end of the world, if you touch someone with the gauntlet on, they turn to dust. So, and
Which means that she doesn't destroy the world then.
not yet. So she destroys half the world basically,
half
but
the world.
they end up bringing it back. And there are these. I'm currently rereading book 5.
Right.
So there are these dark sorcerers called necromancers.
Why did you decide to reread book 5?
Because I really like the idea of necromancy, so I wanted to reread it. Yeah. And so they're trying to open this thing called the Passage,
Right.
which is supposed to be done by this person called the Deathbringer. And the Deathbringer is supposed to be Valkyrie Kane, but it ends up being Melancholia St. Clair. And so the Deathbringer is supposed to destroy half the world, like kill 30 billion people.
Oh, goodness me.
Let the other 30 billion be immortal.
How would he do that? How would he be destroying the world?
So
What method does he use to destroy 30 billion people?
necromancy. So the most powerful necromancers, so they can control shadows,
Okay.
and the most powerful necromancers can even resurrect people. So Skullduggery Pleasant was resurrected by Auburn Tenebrae, who is the high necromancer.
That's a lot of power.
In a necromancy temple in Dublin. So it's based in Ireland.
Yes, absolutely.
And the
That's
author, Derek Landy, is also Irish.
Oh, is he? So what else do you know about the author? It's usually quite, sort of exciting to know what the author is and where he comes from. So he's Irish.
Yeah, he has a sort of a dry humour, but also really funny. Quite funny, and
He must to be able to write books like that.
yeah.
Wonderful stories like that for us to read.
So the books are quite violent, but also quite funny. Skullduggery Pleasant is got a lot of ego for a man with no organs. But yeah.
Wow. And so with that book, is there another book you'd like to talk about? Because we've got a couple more minutes. I want to squeeze in as many books that you found really exciting before we finish.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think.
Even with that series,
Yeah.
you're now up to number 6, did you say?
No, number 9.
Number 9. And so what, from 1 to 9, is there another one there that you thought also stood out for you? I know they're all very exciting, and all the characters, you find all through the series, like the other one. But is there another one of those books between 1 and 9 that you...
Number 7.
Number 7,
definitely.
And why is that?
So it's about these ordinary people
Yes.
that get supercharged by this person he's a pacifist, but he's so dangerous they had to lock him up in a small cave in like a wasteland.
He's a pacifist,
He's a pacifist,
and
but
yet
he's
he
really
has to
dangerous.
be locked up
Yeah,
because he's dangerous.
he's very dangerous
there you
because
go.
he unlocked his true name, which gives him a lot of power, and he's trying to bring magic to the rest of the world, not just sorcerers.
Right.
So, which is a bad idea because everyone goes crazy, and so he does.
People
an ex-
can't really handle that much power.
He does an experiment on 4 people,
Right.
and they're
Are they 4 ordinary humans? or
ordinary
people?
teenagers, and they
Ordinary
get
teenagers.
really insanely violent,
Oh, gosh.
and they destroy a lot of things, and they don't understand anything to do with magic.
A bit too young to handle all that.
Yeah, well, not quite a bit too young, because Stephanie Edgley, aka Valkyrie Kane, was found out that she was magic when she was 12.
Gosh.
When
And
her-
yet she was able to handle all that.
She was able to handle it because
Yeah.
it was explained to her before she actually did any magic.
Okay. So I was just thinking, because there's those teenagers that were given all that and they just went crazy.
Yeah.
What sort of preparation do you think one needs to have to be able to handle, as you said, the young person there was 12 when she got all that power? Do you think it's just a preparation about talking,
No, I think
preparing that person to be able to handle it?
I think
Not
it's
just come and say, here you go, have all that power.
It's more like slowly you have to stage by stage the magic. So first move Valkyrie Kane learned was to click her fingers and summon a ball of flame, and so that's elemental magic.
Yes.
So we find out later in the series that Valkyrie Kane is also like descendant from the ancients.
Okay.
So the last of the ancients, which are these people who actually brought magic to Earth. Oh, and there's also one more that I just remembered. First Dog on the Moon. 2
Who
books that I've
is?
read from First Dog on the Moon. He's an Australian author,
Okay.
and he's really funny.
Is he?
Really funny.
What's his name again?
First Dog on the Moon. And he I don't know his real name, but his like the author name is First on the Moon.
Yes.
And so there's this comic for kids called the Carbon Neutral Adventures of the Indefatigable or something Enviroteens. So that's about these teenagers trying to stop climate change, and they have superpowers.
Oh.
So one of them is just insanely smart, and she's a wombat.
Okay.
One of them is a mix between an echidna, I think, and a platypus, and another's a pastry person. He was bitten by a radioactive croissant and now has the power of 1,000 baked goods.
That is a lot to. Yeah, you're telling me all this stuff, and I'm trying to imagine all these characters and how they look and what they do.
It's a comic, and they're all like animals. It looks really weird. So in First on the Moon's comics, he usually draws like some sort of dog character, sort of thing. And there's another one, the How to Survive the Impending Apocalypse and How to Stay Nice Doing It, which is not really a children's book because it has a fair bit of swearing. But otherwise, it's pretty good. It literally says, like, there's a sticker on the front of the book that says, appropriate for kids who like swearing. And there's this
and for
comic.
parents who allow their children to, to be able to read books like that.
Yeah. And so there's this comic slip on it that says that's the life of a rescue dog. So a dog from the puppy farm. So puppy farms are very sad places. There are dogs that they live in tiny, filthy cages.
Oh dear.
And all they do is breed. All they do is have puppies.
Oh.
And when they are no longer productive, they're either put to sleep or shot. And so there's this dog called Gwyneth, who the rescue dog serviceman brings to the house. And so they adopt Gwyneth.
Right.
But Gwyneth isn't really the dog's name. It's just the rescue dog named her Gwyneth 2 days earlier. So they renamed her Beyonce.
Beyonce.
And
there's a name for a dog. Anyway, and what happens?
and like it's a comic about this rescue dog that just comes to the house and is like really filthy, and they can't give her a bath for 2 weeks after she was de-sexed, and then so she's really stinky, like insane, like very very stinky. They give her a bath eventually, and then there's just this tiny fluff ball sprinting around the house.
Oh.
Which half an hour later she passes out in the cat's bed.
She passes out.
In a cat's bed, yes.
Passes out from excitement?
Yeah, just exhaustion.
Well, that's what happens when you don't bath for weeks and months, But that sounds like a brilliant story.
Yeah, and it was a very funny comic.
Thank you, Myshka. Well, our time is actually up. And I would like, can you go through the names of those books again?
Right,
The first
so
of the series.
We got the Skullduggery Pleasant series. Starts with just the Skullduggery Pleasant book.
Yes.
And then we've got The Hobbit, and then the Lord of the Rings series, which is the series is I forgot what it started with. The name Fellowship of the Ring.
Fellowship of the Rings.
Two Towers and Return of the King. Then the Silmarillion, First Dog on the Moon, How to Survive the Impending Apocalypse and How to Stay Nice Doing It, and the Carbon Neutral Adventures of the Adventures of the Enviroteens.
There you go. That's a mouthful. And did you have something else to say, Myshka?
Not really.
Really? Well, you've said a lot today, and I know a lot of people will be finding your conversation quite, what shall I say, exciting. And I think everyone will be rushing out to get books. Hopefully, because it's really good. You think it's really good to read books?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Because if you read a lot of books, you're going to end up talking like Myshka about everything and so many things. Thank you so much, Myshka, for coming in. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our program, Storytelling. And please stay tuned because next Saturday we'll have another young person to talk to you about the books or movies or whatever interests them in life. Thank you so much, Marlo.